Hello, Sam. Thank you for joining in today. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So you are a speaker at my event, and I'm really grateful for that, giving your time and your knowledge you're going to share with our audience. I highly appreciate it. But before we jump into all that event concept, how do you think and when did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, look, it was actually back in my early 20s when I basically said, look, I no longer want to have a boss. I was sick and tired of people telling me what to do. And so I really wanted to create my own purpose, my own destiny, and not work for someone else's dream.
Right.
Ultimately, I had to create a product and I had to create a services, and then I basically learned from the ground up. I've never sat an exam before in my life, never studied at university or anything at all like that. But I've always had this strong grit and determination that no matter what I set my mind to, I will achieve.
Right. And that's when you decided, okay, you're gonna be your own boss, and you created this Speakers Institute.
Yeah, look, Speakers Institute wasn't the initial business. The initial business was actually me just being a professional speaker. So I had a major car accident where I lost my arm and I wrecked my leg. And now I live with a very significant personal disability. I then won the Young Australian of the Year. And then it was very organic. People just asked me to share my story. So I went and shared my story in schools, first of all, then on stages and in conferences all around the world. I've shared the stage with the likes of Simon Sinek, with Barack Obama, and some of the most significant speakers in the world. And yeah, it's been a huge honor. But then I wanted to help other people learn what I had learned. And so thus we then launched Speakers Institute, training other people to share their story. Or do a TED talk, or basically just speak with confidence in front of people.
And that made your passion to actually educate other people in that sense.
Yeah, exactly right. I just, for me, I found a skill that no one else had got. No one's got the skill of how to build a professional speaker business. Or how to share your story so powerfully that corporations will pay you $10,000 just to share your experiences and your knowledge in a 1-hour keynote. No one teaches this stuff. And so I thought, okay, I've learned a skill, and so maybe I can actually teach other people what I'd learned. So then we started an institution, we built a curriculum, and ultimately now I run an education company.
Great. And what do you think about brand positioning? How do you brand position yourself with that story?
Yeah, look, great question. Look, I actually wrote a book on this. So I wrote a book called People Follow People. Let me tell you something that we already know. What we know is that we are now living in the profile economy, where we no longer trust brands, companies, logos, organizations, governments, media. We now trust human beings. And if you look at even in the last 7 years, what we've seen is a massive shift from us following things on social media, such as company logos, brands, companies, etc. Now we're following human beings. Elon Musk has 400 times more followers than Tesla and SpaceX combined. So what we now know is that we're now living in this profile economy. And so if you're not building your own personal brand, and I'm talking about the simplicity of just your face, your name as your website in a way, samcawthorn.com, not speakersinstitute.com. So these are pivotal things for everyone to really learn how to master to build your profile in the marketplace.
Right. And that's why I do it for living. I'm a marketer and I'll do it for living. And I'm not, so many times people come to me and they say, oh, Tesla never does marketing. I said, guess what? Who is actually selling Tesla? Elon Musk. He doesn't need to do the marketing. He earned the marketing, Before he started Tesla, he was already a well-known name in media. So you can't compare to that. Build that level of trust in the market and build that level of brand ambassador, become a brand ambassador at that level, being an individual, and then you don't need marketing. Yes, of course, you know. So yeah, that's so right on that, and I'm sure everybody should go through that book once. I would like to ask you, now the whole Zoom world is actually closing down, not closing down, it's going there, and people are getting very used to that comfort level. What do you think about online events coming up and it's happening so many nowadays? So what do you think about all these in-person versus Zoom conferences?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Every major keynote that I've done in the last, I would say, 18 months. So these are some of the largest Fortune 100 companies in the world, from Samsung through to Fujitsu, from Commonwealth Bank through to some of the largest technology and health organizations in the world. Every major conference has a hybrid element.
Right.
It was really interesting. Just like 2 days ago, I spoke for a global brand, IBM. And so I was physically in a room in Australia, but there was also a room in Hong Kong. There was also a room in Mumbai. There was also a room in Singapore. And so what it was, basically, there were keynote speakers in Mumbai, Hong Kong, Singapore, and also Australia. And so basically what they wanted us to do is not only connect with the people physically in the room, but also connect with those people through that camera lens as well. What we know is that there's always going to be more people through that camera lens than what there is going to be physically in the room. Why? Because everything now is recorded. So I would strongly encourage everyone, learn how to influence online, learn how to put on not only in-person events, but also online and in-person events, these hybrid experiences. But I think the number one thing is this: make it as seamless as possible, because the moment that there's too much friction is the moment that you're going to lose people's attention.
Right. And I remember Gandhi once visioned about the global village, and we are living in a global village now. So we cannot avoid this.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. We are in a situation. So it's in-person events coming up, and you are part of that. You are a speaker into that. What do you think about Corporality event? What made you to decide to be part of this community?
Yeah, look, one thing I've always spoken about for now 20 years, I talk about this quote, which is called proximity is power. What we know is that we are now the average of our 5 closest friends. The company that we keep determine who we are. Business is lonely. Leadership is very lonely as well. Sometimes when we are actually in a business, we've got our subordinates, we've got our staff and our team, but we don't really have people on either the same level or someone that can mentor or coach us or actually bring it, look up and actually see that there's a bigger world around us with other people that are going through similar struggles than us. One thing I love about what our Corporality Summit has done is that it really helps people not only build trust with one another, meet and collaborate, but ultimately you will be in the proximity. I once read a book which is called Be in the Room. And sometimes we can watch and observe from the stands or from the audience, but there's nothing greater when you get in the arena, when you get in the room, when you're actually a part of it. And so proximity is power. And the more that you lean in to events such as Corporality Summit will fundamentally shift and change your success pathway, and also ultimately you'll fast track it as well.
Great. And before we close, what would you like to say to the audience?
Yeah. Look, my encouragement to everyone is exactly what we've already been discussing today. Number one is, marketing is all about building your profile in this profile economy, because people follow people. And ultimately, the greatest way to learn and upskill yourself is surround yourself with the right type of proximity. And the more that you invest in that, ultimately, you will fast track your success.
Thank you for joining in today, Sam. Really appreciate your kind words and, great wisdom and insight of all that you have been through. Thank you so much today.
Thank you very much.